Hey cats, it's EDDBUD here. I think I'm more toffeefy than man right now. I really need to cut back on those things. Time for another look at the ADIDAS TAKUMI SEN 8, this time comparing it up against a load of shoes with similar features and price point. Let's dive in. Enjoy! Welcome back to the channel, guys. If it is your first time, you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications when I roll out those weird new videos for you. It also helps us out in terms of the YouTube algorithm if you give this video a thumbs up like and also share it with your running buddies. Danke schön. I've selected some shoes for comparison today with some similar features and price points. I am warming up a little bit to the SEN 8 now after I've got a few more miles into it, though not really for the intended use case that I think the Adidas had for it. If you're enjoying the SEN 8 or not so much, let me know down in the comments. First shoe up in the comparison today is the ADIOS 6. Now this one comes in at 110 Earth credits here in the UK. Quite a considerable difference between this and the SEN 8. It's about £60 there, which is, yeah, it's going to be a deal breaker. To the untrained eye, these shoes seem very similar. Looks can be deceiving though. The ADIOS 6 in fact has a slightly higher stack height, a very light and airy upper here, which is also flexible to boot, though the ride is very different. A more solid and responsive feel here in the ADIOS 6. Mainly due to the incorporation of light strike here in the heel. Just feels a bit more responsive to me than that very compressive SEN 8. Heel stack is oddly much lower here on the SEN 8, even though people are sort of classifying it as some type of super shoe. I think oddly, due to that firmer material within the ADIOS 6, I actually prefer that more stable ride. I think in the ADIOS 6, where you've got that light strike section here, it kind of accentuates the Light Strike Pro that you've got in the mid to forefoot. I think the SEN 8 just lacks that slingshot style approach that we have in the ADIOS 6, you know, landing on the midfoot and then pushing off through into the forefoot. I'm entirely sure what they expect here. There is a part plate in the heel section, but I can't really feel it. The ADIOS 6 for me is just the more propulsive of the two shoes, and I think it would be my selection for daily runs or some faster pace sessions. Yes, the SEN 8 is super light compared to the ADIOS 6. I think in my size is a good 60 grams difference between the two shoes, but I think I prefer the pendulum-like weight that you've got in the ADIOS 6. It's just got that balance between weight and construction, whereas this is just like a kit car almost. It's almost like the midsole feels a little less thick than it actually is. Hands down in terms of price, fit, versatility, it's got to be the ADIOS 6 for me. I think it's just a more attractive package and I see more people picking it up rather than the very, very expensive SEN 8. Next up, the Endorphin Speed 2. Slightly more aggressive drop here in SAUCONY's kind of racer trainer. Don't forget we got a nylon plate incorporated into the Endorphin Speed 2. Those more observant of you will notice I've been grinding out lots of aerobic miles in this shoe over the last couple of weeks. An abundance of those 139 beats per minute kind of miles. And it's really making a difference for me clawing back my fitness after I was rudely appended. This one's only 5 or 6 grams lighter than the ADIOS 6 in my size. I feel the rods in the midsole of the SEN 8 are a little bit absent feeling, and that nylon plate here does a much better job of adding a little bit of propulsion on toe off. One area though that the SEN 8 toasts the Saucony Speed 2 is in outsole. I'm not a big fan of this setup, you guys know that by now. Hard to beat the rubber that we have here on the outsole of the SEN 8. Just a lot more reliable, and the grip's getting better and better the more I use it. Again though, I think versatility needs to come into play. You can wear this shoe for some slower miles, yes, but would you want to do some longer runs in it? Probably not. I think for those higher distances, maybe those longer, slower runs, the Speed 2 is much more suited, but you can also run quickly in it as well. I mean, it's called the Speed after all. Maybe they should have called it the Saucony Very Speed 2. Lots of the viewers out there have taken it up to the marathon distance as well, something I was really surprised about, but very interested to see. I mean, would you run a half marathon or a marathon in the SEN 8? I think there's a few people out there that would, but I think the great majority would not. Not sure you'd enjoy it as much as you would do in the Speed 2. And it comes in at 15 Earth credits less than the SEN 8 as well, so I'll let you draw your own conclusions on this one. Is it worth splashing out an extra 10 Earth credits and getting the full fat version of Adidas's Light Strike Pro and Energy Rod setup? Yeah, I think it is. This is about 30 grams heavier in my UK size 11 than the SEN 8, so it's like an ounce or something extra, but I don't really feel it. There's masses more cushion here and an enhanced upper feel as well. I think it's balmy that people are raving about the SEN 8 when you can pick this one up for £10 more. That's it. £10. Maybe they've just wrongly priced the shoe or something, but 170 Earth credits for the Sen 8 just seems mad. It's bonkers. Looking at the energy rods as well, the ones in the Sen 8 seem a lot thinner actually than the ones you get in the Pro 2. They're a bit more Rodney Trotter in the Sen 8 than the Rock in the Pro 2. I just think the ADIOS Pro 2 is a lot more engaging, exciting. Just feels a bit more propulsive. The more energy you put into it, the more you get out. Really does feel a lot more rigid, this shoe, whereas the other flexes far too much. You know, this is Adidas's marathon shoe, and you've got all that cushion in there for it. There's quite a lot extra here that you're getting for £10 more. I think the drop here as well just feels a bit more aggressive. 10mm drop here as opposed to the 6 that you have in the Sen 8. For me, it's a bit more like a double album with a poster and lyric sheet, rather than the 4-track EP you get with the Sen 8. For £10 more, I'll take this one please, sir. The last shoe in today's comparison is the HOKA Rocket X. This time it's a much closer matchup with the Sen 8. We've almost got exactly the same heel to toe drop between the two shoes, and the stack height in both the heel and the toe are very similar too. I think the Rocket X is marginally heavier, around about an ounce I believe. Bear in mind though that this shoe is an 11.5, where I've got the Sen 8 in an 11. So I think if you had it in comparable sizing, there wouldn't be a huge amount in it. If you found the Sen 8 a little bit too narrow, I think the Rocket X could work really well for you. HOKA have given us quite a generous upper here in terms of the material and the fit. Great at pace, and that full-length carbon plate that we have here sandwiched into the cushioned midsole material gives a more propulsive and engaging feel than I find in the Takumi Sen 8, despite the fact there's actually a lower drop here in the Rocket X, only 5mm here. £40 cheaper at retail, and I've seen a few pairs of these going at the moment for under 100 Earth credits UK. That makes it £70 cheaper than the Sen 8 right now. Just a more usable shoe, this one, and we know people have raced in this one as well, and it's done a great job. Even for the full marathon, perhaps. I think if you race loads of 5 or 10k events, then the Sen 8 might be worth it. But even after lots of faster efforts recently in this shoe, I'm still not won over. I'm at a loss as to why Adidas have chosen to go with that quite non-aggressive drop and that crazy price point, and I feel the energy rods provide very little propulsion or rigidity, especially around the arch area of the foot. There'll be too much flex here for a lot of people. Let's not forget that the Takumi Sen always had that torsion system at the heart of the midsole. Feels very spongy and just a little bit dull, where you've got that still smooth and very concise sort of ride that we find in the Rocket X. So another comparison there, well, I'd opt for the other shoe. I've got a crate load of other shoes I want to compare against this one, guys. I will do that in a future part 2 of this video. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on all of this today and the Sen 8 down in the comments. A musical interlude for you. Christmas simply wouldn't be complete, would it, without the Pogues and Fairy Tale of New York. Amazingly though, I seem to have only heard it like once or twice this year. Why is that? I sincerely hope it's not being sort of censored or something. Maybe pushed down the rankings by other stuff, possibly. Fairy Tale of New York's a great track, cracking tune. I think it was originally featured on the 1988 album from the Pogues, which is called If I Should Fall From Grace With God. A famous duet here, and sadly one that we won't ever hear again. It's got such a subtlety to it, such a genuine kind of feel, that people were playing the music, they were feeling the music, rather than someone pressing start on a drum machine. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think at Christmas it's all about that sentimentality, and we certainly have buckets of it here. There's atmosphere to the music. You can hear the actual production is enhancing what's there rather than providing something of worth to it all. Certainly a great track. I hope I hear it a few more times over the course of Christmas, because 2's simply not enough. The Pogues with Fairy Tale of New York. Okay, thanks for sticking with me to the very end of today's video, guys. I'm off for some more mince pies and maybe even a can of refreshing drink. If you haven't done so already, help the channel out by hitting that subscribe button, but also clicking the bell below for notifications of when we roll those new videos out for you. And it also helps us out in terms of the YouTube algorithm if you give this video a thumbs up like, but also share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you